So we're going to go over to our second talk now, which is going to be from Will Afrifah. Thank you.
I must first start by thanking the leadership of this great HICSS conference, particularly the chair and organizers, for the golden opportunity to present and a tremendous effort in making this conference a success. I'll be presenting on barriers and opportunities in cyber risks and compliance management for data-driven supply chain. This is a collaborative teamwork under the great authorship of Professor Carsten Maple, Dr. Gregory Epiphaniou from Secure Cyber Systems Research Group, Warwick, and then Dr. Nikolaos Ersotelos from the School of Mathematics and Computer Science, University of Wolverhampton. The contents of this research paper will cover the introduction, the aims of the study, background and methodology, findings, and I will look into the conclusion and future works. And then questions will follow thereafter from the audience, if that is okay. Then please, next slide, thank you. So for the introduction bit, information has become the primary engine of business decision making, and big data is deemed to have a significant impact on many aspects of our industry organization and scientific disciplines. Our integrated society is now characterized by mass production, globalization, and specialization, and the secure processing of personal data has not kept up with the pace at which advancement in technology is being added to the market, which is a real concern. And there is a clear indication or lack of standards, frameworks, and regulation in these emerging technologies, especially with Internet of Things, Industry 4.0 space, to safeguard personal data. Next slide, please. So the aims of the study is to understand the role of personal data as an integral part of supply chain paradigm in the various issues related to strategic planning, emerging technologies, as well as information security and data protection challenges. And for the aims, we're also looking into understanding the perceived role of evolving technologies, particularly for blockchain and AI, artificial intelligence, in safeguarding the processing of personal data in supply chain. We'll also be looking into understanding the implication of managing personal data and the reluctance to commit to social performance improvement when it comes to data-driven supply chain. We'll also look into the role of personal data protection mechanisms and risk assessment strategies. Thank you. Next slide, please. So regarding the background, we've come to understand that supply chain failure no longer solely refers to a material or product shortage or delayed availability. And now businesses that do not manage supply chain properly risk compromising the quality, innovation, and reputation of their product and suffering immensely from personal data breaches, information misuse, reputational damage, and legal charges for non-compliance. We've also come to understand from this study that supply chain disruption can result in up to 30% decrease in shareholder returns. And according to the authors, 84% of global supply chain face at least one severe disruption over a period of over the previous year. There has been an increased impact of supply chain failure, and the probability of a failure occurring has actually increased dramatically over the past few decades. The next slide for me, please. And therefore, supply chain have become extensively complex, spanning further across the globe, consisting of entities each with its own objective and strategies that may belong to several supply chains. And therefore, if an entity exposes its supply chain system to unattended risks, the consequence or its failure can affect the rest of supply chain systems with which it interacts with. It's also important to acknowledge from this research that instability in the management of supply chain entities have resulted in the increased complexity which globalization has brought to supply chain systems. The lack of visibility among entities' communication, the danger posed by uncooperative suppliers, the reluctance to commit to social performance improvement, and the lack of personal data protection and inadequacies of risk assessment strategies has been one of the main issues that we've encountered. Businesses must therefore comprehend risks to their personal data holdings, classify them, evaluate them, and develop appropriate mitigation. And that is being seen across. So regarding methodologies, we look into conducted extensive reviews of academic sources and consulting reports, and also consultation with subject matter experts to get insight to come to the conclusion of this study. Thank you. So the emerged themes from the research or this study considered evolution of Industry 4.0 supply chain management, supply chain complexity and visibility. We look into social performance management in supply chain, inadequate risk assessment processes, which has been a real cause of concern, information security and data protection challenges, legal and regulatory challenges, as well as strategic planning of supply chain risk management and supply chain management based on ICT, information and communication technology. Thanks. So, looking at the emerging technologies with a prime focus on blockchain technology, over the past decade, it has been shown that blockchain technologies have a tremendous potential to revolutionize supply chain management and address security, data protection, and privacy concerns regardless of geographical location. We've also come to the conclusion that blockchain is a decentralized and distributive technology that can provide confidentiality, integrity, and data availability of transaction. It can also be used to improve the transparency and visibility of supply chain management data flow, enable process automation, eliminate intermediaries, and enable real-time tracking through traceability, privacy, and data management techniques. Thanks. So the key findings from this research is that there have been an exponential growth of new generation computing and technological tools such as cloud edge computing, the Internet of Things, big data, cyber physical systems, machine learning, artificial intelligence has transformed organizations by lowering operational costs, increasing product quality, and enabling faster and more reliable delivery. We've also established from the findings that global competition has produced an upward pressure on organizations to look for new markets and sourcing options to reduce their production costs, improve their product quality and delivery services, and specialize in their core competencies. We've also established from this findings that transforming supply chain management into digital process enable companies to track the entire supply chain in real time, which is really quite interesting. And also, this makes it possible to easily spot risks, track orders, transit, and warehouse status, thus actually minimizing out-of-stock situation that is more often seen in most manufacturing companies. Industry 4.0 has also brought about significant changes to data-driven processes by using recent technological advancement. We've also established from this study that systematic industrial digitalization necessitate appropriate methodology and data structures for collecting, processing, and sharing relevant and accurate personal data securely and safely. And also the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities in supply chain reconfiguration may open the door to slew of new threats and broaden the attack surface for astute adversaries. This may result in a new updated attack that compromises personal data security and privacy, decreasing firms' ability to profit from data processing and knowledge generation in general. Next, please. Thank you. So from the findings, we've established that accurate information sharing between supply chain components in a timely manner is actually crucial for streamlining supply chain management execution. This result in increased performance, responsiveness, and flexibility while reducing uncertainty among supply chain partners. We've also established from the finding that supply chain complexity grows with the application of industry standards, which often require new integration and compatibility assurance or due to strategic alliances, mergers, and acquisition. We've also come to establish that the fundamental principle of supply chain risk management is the pragmatic development of a holistic strategic relationship with suppliers who are deemed to be trusted partners with a mutual aim of achieving excellence for both parties' benefit. Because without that transparency and collaboration, we're going nowhere. Transparency is deemed to be crucial for supply chain enterprise to recognize, monitor, and respond to potential risks and establish a more effective risk and sustainable program management program. We've also established that visibility necessitates a deeper knowledge of the type of data, the sensitivity, and the criticality to company in terms of the effect of the compromise. And also, an audit is deemed or now considered as one of the most effective ways to actually get better insight of how personal data is safeguarded across supply chain organization or the various entities. Next slide for me, please. So in conclusion and consideration for future works, we've established that supply chain have been undergoing a tremendous changes over the past few decades, moving away from the purely operational logistic activities and towards a more automated end-to-end data-driven processes. And we've considered that data have now become one of the most critical resources for many modern companies as information technology advances. This paper has provided us or look into a comprehensive overview of the relevance of personal data in managing Industry 4.0 complexity and visibility. We have actually taken time to also emphasize the role that advancement in emerging technologies such as blockchain, federated learning, artificial intelligence can play in mitigating inefficiencies in supply chain data management through enhanced transparency, decentralization, optimization, and sustainability. An essential pillar in bridging the gap of supply chain risk assessment process is the establishment of supply chain security and assurance program from end-to-end entities. Sorry, finally. So on the last slide, regarding future works, so we've come to establish that further work in supply chain management security domain is required to actually or intentionally assist firms to build and execute secure technologies to eliminate vulnerabilities. Future works is also needed to explore more on how best organizations could realize the value of sustainable supply chain through social performance management, which is normally not deemed or taken into the greater height that is expected because of the reluctance for organizations cooperating to understand the need for social performance management. There is very little work that has been done regarding legal and regulatory measures to avoid uncertainty and to curb potential exploitation by suppliers. So a lot of work is also needed to actually help push a lot more legal and regulatory measures in place. And also additional work is necessary to determine how organizations operating under supply chain paradigm may be held accountable for the protection of personal data that is within their care. So you cannot provide coverage for every facet of data, but at least the ones that have been entrusted by you, it has to be protected, and leadership, organization leaders must be held accountable for protecting the personal data that they are processing within their domain or within their care. So future work will also examine how emerging technologies could be subject to stringent and more stringent assurance criteria to secure the processing of personal data in integrated data supply chain. I think that is really quite pivotal to ensure that we not we catch up with the pace at which all this advancement in technology is being pushed to the market, but they are actually subjected to stringent measures before they are released to ensure that our data is secured comprehensively. Next, please. So on that basis, this is in a nutshell what the study is all about. And I'm hoping there will be an opportunity for question and discussion in this area. Thank you.
Will, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And for everyone in the room, Katerina as well, thank you very much for your presentation. Both really interesting, both different areas of personal data management and analytics, and how we use personal data for different things, stretching from the design side with the first talk and then going into risk management and supply chains in the second part. So just to thank you for submitting. Really interesting talks, really interested to see how these progress. So any outputs, please do let us know in the future. Glenn and I, the reason we do this track is we still work in personal data quite a lot. So we're always interested to see what other people are doing and whether collaborations moving forward can be made across groups and individuals.